level 5. Humanoid, no mana. Ooh, the Q flash!
It's running full steam ahead.
Knock up there, call the Forge God, dash back. Juhan finding the lockup. Varus gonna follow. Senna coming in as well, and Jackie's.
No ulti, we can fight now, we can fight now. Go push, I seal you, Oscar. Or a Nas, I can seal you, Marenko, you're fine. Kill on a Nas.
Fnatic taking the win over GX and a 37-minute nail-biter.
And welcome back to the stage for the Marriott Bonvoy check-in with Oscarinin. Victory, a difficult one. The fans were cheering for you, but I saw the look that you and Razork had at the end of the game, raising the eyebrows. You did not look happy.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we are happy to win, to take the win, but it was not a clean game. I think it was actually pretty hard. I think once we were even in the game, I think it was really hard to play because of the draft, I would say. Like, I think we were playing decently early mid, but it was just really hard to create something by ourselves.
Draft theirs or yours? Because it felt like Varus was poking a lot. They had a lot of range, which was an issue for you. What was the key to finding the right way to engage against a composition that had so much range?
The Varus was actually a pretty good pick, I would say. Like, we didn't expect it. I think no one is actually playing Varus mid lethality right now. And it was actually pretty good because they outranged us. We didn't have a real engage because Real couldn't really engage easily. Yeah. So it was pretty hard to do something. So we were just waiting for breaks and looking for flanks, nashers, and those things.
Lots of learnings from a game like this, obviously. You played against the Antonio. I know you said yesterday in post-game lobby that you were looking forward to playing against him, and you have been in this rookie situation a couple years ago. What kinds of timings and opportunities you see when you see a rookie that you can abuse, that you know that he's new to the LEC, he's not going to be aware of this?
What? I didn't know.
How can you abuse some timings against some rookies? Because playing against the Antonio, it was his second game on stage. So how did you know how to abuse this matchup or maybe get ahead against him? I
mean, I just kind of played normal against him. Like, I know he's kind of a rookie, yeah. But I played against him many times in Super League and everything, so I know kind of how he plays and what he wants to do. So, yeah, I mean, I just played my lane normally and everything, I guess. Who
do you think gets the Kia player of the game?
That's a hard one, actually.
Maybe the Dragons have an idea here.
I would say maybe Noah, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Do you think it's deserved?
I mean, I think he did a good game. I think he trolled some fights, but I think he probably deserves it, yeah. I think it was a really messy game and he was kind of carrying the fight, so.
You guys all did it in the end. A victory is a victory. We'll see tomorrow against Vitality. Oscarinin, thank you so much for the interview. Good luck tomorrow. And Sjokz, back to you for the last game of the day. SK Gaming, G2 Esports.
Thank you so much. We heard from a top laner, and we're going to talk about the top laners with a top laner and a AD carry, question mark?
Yo, what the hell? I'm a top laner too.
Oh, oopsie.
Well,
anyways,
that counts.
He's a professional. I mean, he's on hiatus.
I hit Master with Shyvana. I was literally the worst champion in the game.
Okay, fair enough. But hey, we're going to talk about the top lane matchup. And you two were so excited about it. Broken Blade, obviously, best top laner in the league. And you said Irrelevant might very well be the second best, or in competition for the best if he beats Broken
No,
Blade?
I think second best for sure. I think BB definitely still #1 in our league right now. If you didn't watch MSI, go back and do it because his performance was absolutely fantastic. No, but it's LEC teams playing at MSI, and they did kind of good against Top Esports, for example. But I think BB has been phenomenal and ramping up for a very long time now. I think the narrative that he's not that good is completely flown away now. He just straight up is the best.
Yesterday, the Camille game?
Yeah, it was really good, you know, a little bit of a contrast to Irrelevant and his performance. He started off quite slow in the Camille game because it was, you know, all due to the matchup as well. But he found his timings very, very well. You know, he has been impactful in every single fight. You know, draft helped as well. He had a lot of friends to play with Tariq, Sejuani and whatnot. But what I was impressed the most is that he found a couple of timings, especially this one, where he just completely cracks the game open. He got to the timing where he has a power spike, and he leveraged that so well. And from this point on, he just put on so much pressure on MBK.
I mean, absolutely. And it's just the way that once again that BB can do it on different champions. You expect carries of this guy and a caliber of his style and play. And the fact that, as you said, he opens up a solo lane, now you get the lead. You have the tier 2, especially after the play that just happened. He came back, had Sterix gauge, he's ahead of the curve, suddenly comes into the team fight, and he's just blowing everyone up.
Ahead of the curve, and you have to also look at that top lane when you are facing G2. I know there's a lot that you have to look at before. SK got off to a flying start. Their bot lane was smashing rogues yesterday. But how do we feel about Irrelevant, where he is in terms of his trajectory in the LEC?
I mean, I still think Irrelevant is, you know, one of the best. Like, I called it the second best top lane.
Yeah,
I think this is the most exciting top lane matchup we're gonna have. I think BB Irrelevant is always what I'm looking forward to. And for the same exact reason is that this is a guy that will play carries. This is a guy that's looking to take a lead. Here you see it where he gets top lane priority. He'll make that a mid lane priority. And then even more importantly, the way he sets his team up for success around these objectives, where the ultimates are crisp, the zoning is perfect. He's creating so much space to make sure that his carries can play the game too.
Yeah, Odo, you played versus him, of course, a lot. What are the things in Irrelevant that you think are better than some of the other top laners in the league?
Well, he's very lane focused to say, so I feel like he really enjoys his winning matchups. You know, he has the style of play. He incorporated Rumble recently, but before I used to think of him more of a, you know, Bruiser, Renekton, Camille, Jax kind of player. Well, he was a Jax one trick when he joined in, and it's always a terror to play against that. But he's finding himself in this winning matchup, so that's why I'm excited for today's matchup more so than, you know, any other top lane pairing in LEC, because I am sure, and it's gonna backfire, of course, but I am sure that we're gonna be seeing, you know, a carry versus carry matchup. Both of them are leveraging their pressure very well, and it's gonna be a banger.
I agree. I really hope so, because what we saw in spring was that he started bringing out K'Sante for the first time and started relying on them champion a lot for his team. But I think that took away a lot of his strength. As broken as K'Sante is, Irrelevant can do some great magic on other picks too. So I'm hoping we don't see K'Sante. I'm hoping we see other picks from them.
I think that's a good follow-up question, because is it true that when such an OP pick arises in the meta, like the likes of K'Sante, and obviously you know if you pick it, you'll be in better positions, it kind of hollows out your creativity and the willingness for your top laners or your coaching staff to trust your top laners and other things?
Well, yes and no, because a lot of times, you know, the meta is defined by what's a power pick, and you might just be the sort of player where you are not maybe the best at meta picks, but you're quite creative when it comes to countering those meta picks, so you're kind of creating your own sort of meta. But the benefit of, you know, for him at least to fall back on K'Sante and incorporate it in his playstyle is that it makes it a lot easier for his team to play, because you have this constant that is in every single game. You know, you're like drafting, you pick K'Sante early, every team knows what is going to happen, what the identity of the draft will be, and it makes it a lot easier for everyone on your team to, you know, mesh around.
And with that said, we do not want to see K'Sante. I'm going to say, I think SK is going to win this game, guys.
That's bold.
And I will not elaborate. Let's head over to our casters for the last game of the day. G2 Esports takes on SK.
No need to elaborate, Sjokz. As long as we get not tank versus not tank, you can believe whatever you want.
Ambitious.
I'm willing to believe anything. Just no K'Sante, no tanks, or ban no top laners and let us see Skarner for the first time.
Ooh.
Which is a weird thing to be excited, because he's not a very exciting champion.
He's OP.
Sorry, Flowers. But
we're getting ready for the draft. Our final game of the day, G2 versus SK. G2 had a bit of a rough early game yesterday against Mad Lions, but they bounced back in very effective fashion. We saw some crazy outplays. Like, the one that really impressed me was the Mikyx Yike one in mid lane, where they, like, as a duo got the kill onto the Azir. Just really great stuff. So mechanically, G2 definitely on form, even though it's been a very long year for them. So let's see what they've cooked up for us today. Ashe and Lucian.
a lot of AD carry bans.
I mean, this is like, sorry, I was blown away. I was like, are we at MSI? Like, these are...
I've seen these bans somewhere before.
I
swear we had
Varus,
3
Kalista
patches.
ban?
Hey, Rumble?
Rumble.
So
Makes
far,
a lot of
MSI
sense.
bans.
Yep. So let's see, what will the last ban be? Are you going to take Kalista, Draven, away from SK? I heard that Draven was nerfed specifically because of Hard Summer.
I heard that too.
Of course, complete rumors and speculation.
But, you know.
It's
probably true.
Probably true.
Skarner, in a sea of MSI bans, they banned Skarner. That doesn't seem nice. He was technically disabled with MSI.
We're not going to get to see Hans' Draven today, though. We'll be locked in for AD carry.
Varus mid, first pick, unsurprising. We saw what it could do in the previous game. Not confirmed for mid.
Caps was an OG Varus player.
And if you were keeping up, of course, SK support's name is Luron. That's right. 3 points to you.
Yes.
You missed it. The
It is
mystery man
missing.
himself. Is now Hwei and Jinx. Oh, Hwei and somebody.
A slew of 80 carries for Rahel.
Jin Hwei seems cool.
I will say Rahel and Luan impressed me yesterday. Their laning phase, the way they play around the level 2
If you
dive.
ignore the Ash arrows, fantastic game. Now he didn't he eventually hit one and then it was just like GG, game over, right?
Sure.
But like,
Is this a Poppy angle? SK can't forget Mickey's Poppy from MSI. Many were questioning, is Mikyx the best Poppy in the world? And
we'll find out. Poppy, still I think technically a triple flex for this team.
If you lock in Kalista, G2's going to lock in Poppy. They've shown it multiple times. As you rightly said, it is a triple flex. They can play top, jungle, or support. I'm expecting a mid lane pick here for Caps. The question is, what is he thinking about? Of course, this draft is pre-recorded, so he's looking behind him, but...
And the photo where he's saying, shh.
But it's going to be Rek'Sai. That's likely locked in for Yike, something that he brought out already last split. And we've already been seeing it from close. We've been seeing it a little bit more popular here in the LEC since then. But the Renata are going to be the round out for SK. So they've got a pretty strong bot lane 2 versus 2 to answer what was a very effective bot lane from G2 and MSI.
I'm living for these photos. He just looks so serious. Is he saying, come at me? Has, of course, locked in Renata. So Kalista Renata for the bottom lane, as well Comfort. As we enter the second ban phase, though, important to note, we're hearing from league officials that SK Gaming was unable to find Nico in time due to Rahel's client being in Korean, but the keyboard being an English keyboard. However, SK informed referees long before the ban timer expired, allowing the verbal ban to be communicated to G2 within the timer's limit. It's considered a valid Nico ban, not a missed one. So what you are currently seeing as a blank little cancel symbol right there, little ban symbol in that 4th slot is actually a Nico ban. Apologies for the confusion, but glad that we were able to remedy the problem without needing to delay the game at all.
Yep. So Nico going to be banned away. We'll see what the final ban is. Talia makes a lot of sense. Obviously very powerful in the current meta. Typically something we've seen Prio picked along with Corki, but that has made its way through the draft here today. Twisted Fate, what will be the finish here for G2? Cassante, of course, still open. Will they look to ban away something like the Camille as a potential?
Ooh, the real MSI throwback. Cassante versus Twisted Fate.
Yep.
Absolute
Renekton.
banger. Okay.
That does suggest
Something
Camille.
more spicy.
Camille. Does suggest that
Camille
for
versus
G2
Jax.
once again.
Camille versus Jax.
Oh yeah, irrelevant to the Jax
Relevant,
guy.
the Jax guy
He is the
versus
Jax
Broken Blade,
guy.
who yesterday was certainly the Camille guy. Give us the spice.
All right, SK, what have we got? Sejuani, that's fine.
Okay, all right.
Front line, engage,
save your
tank.
pick. Yeah.
You recognize that Renata, more for disengage rather than engage, so you want a way to start off fights. Poppy, I mean, it is another dash into Poppy, but still, I think that your ultimate can be thrown up range, obviously. So they have at least a way to start fights. So what have you got prepared for as Broken Blade? Is it just Cassante?
Zach?
Will he blind Zach? Do you remember the Rek'Sai Zach combo? That they actually was perma-banned against them at MSI.
Yeah, that second series against T1 was a lot harder when those two champions were banned in every single draft. It's Cassante.
And Azir, okay.
Okay.
All right, so they're not cooking, really. They're going to keep it stock standards.
Safe, reliable.
I mean, this is something that they would have drafted at MSI.
Sure.
We've seen Caps play Split Push Azir. We've seen him play Teamfight Azir. Obviously, a very effective Azir player, as you would expect. Irrelevant. What is he going to bring up for us into the Cassante? His own Camille, perhaps? The Gnar, bit of a throwback. Gnar did receive some buffs on 14-11, I believe. He's been struggling a little bit with the itemization changes, so Riot wanted to compensate and give him a few buffs back into his kit. Now, when we think about Irrelevant's career, Jack is definitely up there, but Gnar is one of his next most favorites, so shouldn't be too much of a surprise. He's very comfortable on the champion, another effective team fighting tool for SK, and I do think that they have that. They have range options. Of course, Kalista a little bit shorter range, but I think Hwei compensates for that. You have decent poke coming out from him, a little bit of poke coming out from the Gnar as well. There is a very strong front line on the side of G2, so I wouldn't be surprised to see the on-hit Kalista coming out from SK, but overall, I think their team fighting comp is very solid. G2, though, just have a lot of range. Again, Varus Azir is such a tried-and-true combo that we saw consistently at MSI. We saw it at Spring. The whole principle behind this composition is you chip away your opposition, right? You rely on the front line, you have good team fighting. The Poppy allows you to guarantee a numbers advantage if you can land that ultimate. And so I do think that both comps want to do very similar things, but I find that G2 just have a slightly stronger team fight composition.
Well, and I think the big thing is, right, Poppy utility is just so hard to deal with. In the same way you would be excited about a Braum into like a double AD carry composition, Poppy against a team that clearly wants to go for these big combos with a Gnar, a Sejuani, Hwei follow-up. So much of those angles are just removed entirely when there is a Poppy in position on the enemy team. It puts more pressure on SK to have better vision, better setup, so they can flank. So it's not easy for Mikyx to just press W in that clutch moment, excuse me, and shut down the composition that SK have put together. Of course, we'll have to see how the early game unfolds. G2 fans are here, getting louder progressively, eager to see another G2 win. We were offered flower necklaces, but we are not biased commentators. Despite our love for flowers, we will not compromise our integrity.
Let's get into our final game of the day. G2 versus SK, both sitting at 1 win apiece. Let's see whose record will be blemished and who will move forward to 2-0.
And already emotes are being spammed. Players keen to get on the rift. It is Hail of Blades Poppy for Mikyx, so expect an explosive level 1 especially. And interestingly, press the attack on the Kalista.
Oh yes, that's true. We've been seeing First Strike pop up more from things like Hwei and Varus, just because of the changes. I think these are champions that can take full advantage of the changes.
And don't forget, chance to celebrate. Everyone in the house, whether you're a G2 fan or a fan of anybody, Hansama, 400 LEC games. He left us very briefly for Team Liquid, but despite...
sorry, I meant to do that one. Sorry, Hans. That was my mistake. I'm sorry. I was meant to do
Congrats
confetti.
to Hansama. Obviously, huge milestone. Happy to have him into the league. And we'll see if he can make this 400th game one to remember. You can put confetti on there now if you want to put the fire away. You're banned.
Put it there.
Yeah. You're banned.
Yay, congratulations.
Woo! So, congrats on Hansama. Obviously, very tenured player. Still remember when he qualified through Challenger. Back when we were casting Challenger. One of the many AD carries in this league who was hyped.
We cast most of these people in Challenger. We cast Caps in Challenger when he used to play for like Millennium or something. I forget what team it was.
Yeah, Millennium. We missed out on the TCL years. He missed out on TCL Internationals. And Mikyx already getting the Hail of Blades procs going. Hansama continuing to fire autos, but press the attack, making him a little bit stronger. The 1v1, he just got 2v2 killed again. G2's bottom lane obliterated by Hansama, managing to get the kill back.
I would argue that's more worth for G2 though.
Yeah.
Rahel commits all of his summoner spells to get a kill onto Mikyx, and while it is first blood, Hans gets a kill back, and he gets to stay in lane. So he's gonna still get to soak up this wave's XP. Longsword pickup for Rahel is going to be a nice thing to have in the laning phase. Of course, you can see him with a small CS lead for now, but that's going to disappear. I'm curious as to the lane state of those, if you can quickly show us with the lane. So it's also pushing towards Hans, which just kind of adds insult to injury. Thank you so much for that, observers. As Irrelevant is getting pushed in the top lane, does mean that...
good wall up. Picks up.
Okay.
Is
this a dive? I was going to say it's a dive angle, but Isma's
How many isolated 2v2 and 1v1 kills will we see this game? Yike and Isma speeding down to the bot lane. The control ward already placed hover, so Isma going to be spotted out first. Passive, going to get taken away. Good damage onto Isma. Yike heavily favored in the 1v1 with the stun already there. Luan flash forward, the handshake, the pullback. They're trying to finish the job onto Yike. Yike getting lower and lower. Mikyx trying to finish the kill. Yike flashing out, getting the tunnel back to safety. It's a bloodbath on the bottom side. Rahel only level 1. Hansama doesn't have the same problem. He's desperate to finish the kill. The E, he gets the arrow. He has to flash in. The barrier blocking all of the fallout damage, and Isma's in trouble. Hansama going to get taken down again. Luan grabbing the kills. Luan everywhere in these fights. Handshake after handshake. Nisqy there with the pullback, with the maw.
I think Mickey's fine.
One more. Flash auto
nice
finish.
flash.
Thumbs up from Nisqy.
So that is, what, 2 for 1? I think in favor of SK. The arrival of Nisqy doing wonders for SK's bot lane after what was, I mean, a chaotic fight. Luan moves up to help his jungler. The CC coming out onto Yike is good. I think in the extended fight, they have the ability to get the kill. He's forced to flash away into the tunnel to safety. Then G2 turn their attention onto Rahel, who's only level 1. He's doing his best to sidestep. Hans flashes on top of him, has to commit both of his summoners. Almost gets a kill back onto Isma. But then Luon doesn't allow it. And then the arrival of Nisqy, him getting that push in the mid lane, allows him to come back to bot. I say come back, arrive in bot, I should say, and end up getting an extra kill. A lot of summoner spells used there. Rahel has 1 kill, Luon has a kill, Nisqy has a kill. The gold, ever so slightly in favor of SK.
And overall, explosive early game. Again, Hans still favored in terms of XP for now as Rahel does what he can to push the wave in. Hans is landing the poke here. Will be that much harder, but of course Rahel, has that early mobility when Poppy's not in his face to just kind of sidestep a lot of those Varus arrows. Wave crashing the top side, going to force the TP out from Irrelevant, who, okay face, right? Like, would have liked to finish full tabbies, or at least gotten something else here. Again, you mentioned earlier, Gnar was buffed on this patch. Scaling ratio on the Boomerang goes up by about 10%, as well as a bit of additional AD growth. So we'll hit a bit harder in lane, but still, obviously, around level 6 is really where K'Sante is going to start to be a problem in the top lane.
K'Sante with a very similar base. See boots plus armor picked up. Makes a lot of sense in this matchup. Turn my attention to the junglers once more. Isma clearing out his top side, moving towards the enemy Raptors. Knows he has push with Nisqy. This is a combo we praised highly at the beginning of the year. Isma, a young player, of course, rookie joining the scene. Expectations were high when paired up alongside a veteran in Nisqy, and we saw some promising things. Things didn't quite pan out the way that we expected, though, in spring split. But starting off the split with a win, see how things change.
Over, Mikyx looking for an angle. Nice handshake from Luon.
Luon doing a good job of just working with Isma. This bot lane continues to impress. Of course, Rahel losing his life in exchange for a kill early on. He's now kind of suffering the consequences of that. Looks like that he will be going, you already mentioned press the attack earlier, that on-hit build with the lifesteal already picked up for him.
The struggle is it makes it that much harder to play the lane right now.
Yeah.
Obviously with the poke build, you can do a lot to just clear the wave, get the spears to kind of cascade through the minions.
Wave is pushing towards him though. He's a full level down right now. Obviously that is because he hasn't been able to catch this farm just yet, but you know that Hans is going to get level 6 first. Keep your eyes on Yike. He's pathing towards bot again. We haven't seen in the current meta a lot of bot dives outside of that SK game where they're diving in at level 2.
Isma here will be spotted, instantly goes onto Mikyx. Target already locked down, stun is there, it's one squishy. Poppy Luon instantly grabs the kill. Excellent read from the side of SK.
Yeah, I mean, Isma's just there to cover for the dive, and Mikyx wasn't expecting Sejuani to be in that angle. Wasn't able to use the steadfast presence in time. He gets chain CC, and I think it was the ignite from Luon that ends up picking it up. He's now 2-0-2 on the Renata. And it's SK with a lead over G2 in this early game.
And I'm not here to yuck anybody's yum, but maybe, we'll hold that thought, as Cap's gonna be forced to back up here. Mikyx showing his presence mid. Maybe Luon should stop taking the kills.
Hey.
I don't know if he needs the money. His AD is kind of broke.
I think he's earned them, okay? He's the one doing the work here when you really think about it. What do AD carries even do, Daniel?
I don't know. It's true. Complain a lot. It's never their meta.
True. It's never their
20
meta.
years of item changes and they'll still find a way to be like, we're weak on this patch. Kai'Sa's 1v5ing every fight in 2019. Nah, guys, this patch is bad for us. Look at Akali and Silas.
In any case, right now, Rahel not having the best of times. But I'm sure he'll be able to bounce back. Yike going to be looking to secure these birds, but Isma is here, level 6 too. Has push in the mid wave. Don't think it's top lane that can't come in. Flash committed.
Q flash back from Nisqy. Up just in time to deny Caps that angle. Of course, flash trade is just for the ulti, so overall still favors Caps there in that instance, but Grub's gonna get taken down. SK managed to get one back, so 2-for-1 trade overall. Yike slightly favored, and SK pushing up in the mid lane.
Now the dragon becomes a card that can be played. SK Luon working with Isma once again. Love his presence on the map right now. With the lead that he has, he knows he can be active. Yike is hesitant.
As he should be. Not nearly good enough information. Pressure still on the bot lane.
That red buff is now.
Walking up, Isma over the wall, spiraling to spare. Caps waiting as long as possible to dodge backwards.
Well played from Caps, keeps himself alive.
Nisqy not even gonna go for the severing bolt there to try and finish the kill, instead just focus on clearing out the wave.
This will open up the dragon for SK, which after losing the 2 grabs, they want to be able to get for themselves. But again, I'm loving this dynamic here. When we think of Nisqy teams, often it's a roster that has both jungle and support playing around Nisqy to unlock him to then impact the rest of the map. And we're seeing that presence being felt right now. But G2, they want to contest this. Level 4 Mikyx, level 7 Hansama.
Of course, Nisqy, no ultimate, no flash. But G2 don't want to overcommit here to man disadvantage, knowing the Caps has to catch that mid wave. So we'll just concede the Drake to the side of SK.
Meanwhile, Irrelevant has slowly been building a lead in the top side of the map. About a 400 gold lead, about a kill lead, which is about, you can see in the CS discrepancy. I think he's been able to get a plate as well. In terms of the total gold, you can see that Hansama is the one leading the pack, but Rahel not that far behind him, all things considered. Still ahead of Caps, and SK find themselves in a pretty good position overall. We'll see if they can convert this though. It's been a struggle for many teams. It's the mid game where G2 often find much of their success, while in MSI against top esports, their early game was really the highlight performance. Their mid game is really the big thing that they've been working on domestically throughout the year, and they've got a lot of comfort picks to do that.
And while ultimately I think we could be pretty happy with the MSI performance, there's still a couple head-scratching moments in some of these early games from G2, both in the first games. Obviously, them getting 2v2 killed by the MDK
moral of the
bot
story
lane.
is they're a hard team to judge.
Yeah, they're not dead till they're dead.
Yeah.
Until they're gone.
But
they're favorites.
The biggest thing about G2 is they did evoke some hope, and let's see if SK can shut something
Good
down.
Yike immediately killed. Nisqy now caught up, and he managed to get the fear on the Cap to stop any potential pushback going through. Berserk, excellent ulti. Cap's running out of angles, running out of places to run, and SK just taking their time here to finish off the kill. They're dominating G2 in this early, and that's a 2K lead at 10 minutes.
A massive overstep from Yike, and SK with a great punish. Really nice stuff. Luon finds himself with a killing spree. 3-0-3 on the Renata now. They've initiated the swap. And we'll look back. Yike, I'm not sure what he's doing here. What's he trying to contest? Like, Hansama is pathing towards top lane. He's just overextended. His team isn't really there to assist. And so Isma says, all right, fine, I'll just ult you. The ultimate, look at that. He flashes in to get the ultimate from Renata. Then he gets pulled back, so the Renata ultimate, the Azir ultimate doesn't connect onto him. And then he uses the Renata ultimate to then go back over the wall to assist Nisqy in getting that kill. That's a happy Swiffer. No,
look at that little grin. He's holding himself back. Yeah. He doesn't want to be too excited. He knows. He remembers last split. It's not over till it's over.
Yeah, the coach cam is a double-edged sword.
Most certainly is. All right, so now the real test, of course, as we approach the middle stages of the game, can SK keep the snowball going? Can they continue to find favorable fights? And of course, can they close out against G2 if they can build that bigger lead? It's hard, it's never done with G2. It always feels like they'll be able to find that angle to come back. Broken Blade, looking for the angle to keep the fight going. Cap standing off to the side, really want to finish this kill on Irrelevant. Obviously gonna get a nice bit of health there as he turns over to Mega.
That's a lot of time committed from Caps, though, to not really get much for it. It's going to allow Nisqy to get this free push in mid. Then he can actually work with his team to set up a potential dive in top lane. Hansama is isolated.
TP there, flash back from Hansama, flash forward from Isma, sidesteps the ultimate. Hansama now in trouble, Mikyx trying to save, but already he's dead, and now Mikyx might be in trouble too. Yike continuing to step forward, the bailout is there, they want to finish off this kill, but Rek'Sai goes under, comes right back out, denies the bailout effectiveness, but still the kill is traded back.
I mean, it's SK with 2 kills, they're looking for 3.
Mikyx gets interrupted on the knockback, it's clutch, now clutches back under the tower, Rahel in trouble, Rahel gonna drop, no bailout left. Mikyx will at least get 1 in return.
It's a 2 for 3, but SK with their aggression, just great awareness, and it's all because of Caps appearing in the bot lane. It allows Nisqy to get that push in mid, start the rotation up top, but they also garner all the information that they need in order to make that dive happen. A guaranteed numbers advantage, well executed, forcing all the summoner spells out from Hansama, means that SK extend their gold lead now to 2.5K.
Ooh, and it's gonna get that much harder now for G2 to find these angles and find these plays, especially for Hansama. The arrow very easily mitigated now by the Mikyx has been picked up by Luon. He's rich. Buying the item much sooner than anticipated, along with Mikyx. He's been able to find that wall.
Look at this 1.3K gold lead over Caps.
They're strong. And look at early lock coming in from Isma too, so burst damage coming out from the side of G2 is just going to be very heavily mitigated for at least the next couple fights.
Grub's being started off. Yike should be able to secure another one at the very least. Question is, will they go for more? Yes, okay,
Smite. He already got 4, so no reason to stick around. Tunnel timing is good. to make sure he can walk away. So SK caught sleeping a little bit here. We'll see what they can do once they take down this crab.
Dragon's available in 15 seconds. They know that G2 have to reset. They can move into mid, push that wave out, have Gnar push in bot 2, and then they can just pick up that objective uncontested. Oh, actually, the Herald completely missed that spawning in the immediate vicinity. Why not just contest to this objective instead? Yike still needs to race it out onto the map. I don't think SK is going to be too unhappy about that. Makes it easier to siege onto this mid tower against an Azir and a Varus that have great wave clear. It can be a difficult thing to do, and Herald always a great tool to just help you open up that mid lane.
Seems like SK respecting the value of the Herald, doubly so because G2 have the 4 grub buff, of course at 5, but 4 is the threshold that you're usually trying to hit as Irrelevant. Does what he can to get a bit of XP here. Good damage onto Mikyx, but really cannot afford to stay under that tower, so going to try to grab a little bit more damage there. SK just continuing the pressure on the top side of the map, threatening for more. Gnar here, always a bit tricky to dive. Irrelevant might not get the chance to push any buttons. Wall's not even going to come out, looking for the pound back. Does manage to get away for a second. The Price Seeker doesn't quite finish it. Now he's running. The house going to hit Mikyx. He's trying to get away. Mikyx's got the buckler. Can they finish the kill here? The tower already falling down. Gnar's going to mean a movement speed steroid. Yike looking for the Price Seeker. Not quite going to hit. Irrelevant's getting tricky with it, but he's going to drop. Captain America hits him with the buckler, and down he goes, but SK got 2 towers on the top side. They're going to get mid as well, and now Hansama's going to be the one in trouble. Cleanse already used, Barrier already used. Hansama getting run down the handshake to bring it back. Hansama can't finish the kill. No is the answer. The spear's stacked, and Rahel's going to grab that one.
I mean, it's 3 members committed to killing Irrelevant. It's Mikyx who only gets the kill, and SK is just cross-mapping so effectively. They get so much more off the back of that play. This SK feels like a different look from what we saw at the beginning of the year. They said they needed a change. They said they needed to make something happen. And I mean, so far, it is working.
And look, based on the plays we've seen, based on the cross maps we've seen, the macro that we've seen from SK in this game, I'm optimistic. But
they still got to end it.
They still got to end it. Again, the trauma in Swiffer, in the back of SK fans' minds. There's so many games that should have been won, that should have been done, against teams much lower on the total poll than G2. So to close out against G2, even with a solid lead like this, is still a challenge for SK. One they're going to need to overcome, but Caps splitting on the side lane, will get a tower back. SK, that said though, the entire last sequence of play is so good for them. They get second Drake, continuing to stack up. They get Herald, they get multiple towers, 3 in the grand scheme of things.
So, I mean, the other huge factor, Drakos, is if SK do win this, certain podcast hosts are going to be getting DMs about their tier list.
Certain podcast hosts are already getting DMs about their tier lists. So, well, bring it on.
Bring it.
You can never hurt me. I put BDS S tier. You know what I mean?
Another tower will be secured for SK.
Broken Blade. Nothing you can do, right? I mean, the siege here is so lethal. You can't walk into Renata Sejuani. It's just not going to work. And Nisqy really hurts, right? Double burn item, 17 minutes of the game is a damn good place to be. 2.1k gold lead. This is a fantastic game.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to G2, I mean, of course, they are coming off the back of MSI. We know that they started scrimming late, and there's the element of fatigue. You look at this draft, and it definitely feels like it's a default to comfort and
it's
stuff.
Also a new lineup, right?
It's
like,
true.
SK obviously knew that they wanted to pick up these players, had to get these players over, got them acclimated. They made a great content piece about like the efforts that they're making to really integrate Rahel and Luan into the team, but the fact that they're doing this well in the early game, and the isolated 2v2 as new players in the lineup is good. The fact that they've already started working together with Isma is a great sign. I don't want to oversell it. It is a single game. It's a damn good look for a team that, when so many teams are struggling to integrate their new players, SK hitting the ground running like this in a game versus G2 is huge.
It certainly is. Again, we'll see if they can ride this momentum forward. G2, a team that you can never really afford to count out. The reason why they often get given the benefit of the doubt is because of their pedigree as an organization. Isma, though, utilizing this pressure.
Good arrow. Immediate Mikhails, though, stops to punish. Broken Blade now TPs, walks right into the eye and gets rooted, immediately hand shook as well. And Mikyx wants to step up, but again, you take the Halo Blades for the first couple of levels in the lane to try to find advantage. After that, the Aftershock really would feel so much better. So Mikyx has to be really careful about picking his windows to go in.
SK, for the time being, holding pressure over mid. Caps now making his way to a side lane a little bit more. We talked about the many different versions of Azir that Caps likes to leverage. Looks like this game he's going for a bit more of a side lane presence. Always a scary thing to deal with Caps when he moves off into his own knew his own playground, I would say. Obviously, everyone rates him as the best player that Europe has. And if you leave him to his own devices, he can be crafty.
Yes. Like other goats. You've seen them climb mountains. How do they stay up on the side of those mountains, Betty?
They're a
I don't
crafty
understand.
goat. No, it's actually from the word when Medic in a cast once said he's like a crafty whale. And I'm like, well, I don't remember the origin of the whale.
Problem is
the word crafty
between
is
unhinged
so good.
Medic days and hysterics.
Yeah. You've got to let a few more screws loose, is what I'm learning.
I don't know if I've got it in me to call someone a crafty whale or a refrigerator.
There was also the Bob Ross call from Jake.
Yeah. I gotta respect the creativity. Nonsensical as it is sometimes, I appreciate it.
Hey, never would have thought that you're the most rational of the three play-by-plays.
I never, ever in my life would have thought that. I still don't think
There's
that.
that whole Centaur conversation we haven't had on broadcast
Oh my
yet.
gosh, the people are not ready. No, we've had this
on.
on broadcast because someone got mad at me. Someone just said Centaurs have 2 hearts, and I said that's a dumb answer.
Now the Baron is on the board. Next Dragon in about a minute and a half. It's G2 that have push in the bot side of the map. Irrelevant conceding that side, mainly because he knows he's on the weak side. He has to be cautious of any potential collapse, given that they don't have huge information as to where all the members of G2 are just yet. They see Caps on top wave, but it's a fight of a vision right now. SK clearing out this mid wave, and it's just kind of control, it's setup. Items are being completed, people are trying to spend as much gold as they can. Caps going for a high investment build. The death cap second means that he needs that extra bit of gold. I can quickly check how far off he is.
Sweeper going to spot out the last
very
bit of
far
vision.
off, I can tell you that right now.
That is a broke Azir. 2.3k gold lead individually for Nisqy.
He's also he's sitting on right now about 400 gold.
He can buy a book.
Yeah, he needs about another 1,000 gold, about 900, before he can actually complete that. And I can tell you right now, the Dragon's going to spawn before that. But sometimes it's something pros talk about. It is dangerous to go for these more expensive items early on, just because you won't have the spikes at the right times, right? So maybe G2 just concede this Dragon in exchange for allowing Caps more time to farm in the top lane.
And we'll see if they want to fight for this third Drake. They do have decent setup here. SK have kind of used all of their vision resources on the top side of the map, making sure they have info around Baron, making sure they have info on the side lane. Caps in the isolated 1v1 up against Nisqy. You can see in the minimap at the top of your screen that there might be a fight in mid lane, so we'll keep our attention here. Going in from Isma, flashback from Hansama, still getting hit by the slow. Mikyx looking for the disengage here. Is going to knock back 2, and now Isma suddenly realizes this is not the fight that he thought it was. Hostile takeover is good, but Isma still likely to fall. Will get taken down, bailout not even used. Beautiful disengage from the Poppy ult.
Yeah, a huge Poppy ult there from Mikyx. Creates a numbers advantage for G2, which means that they immediately kill the jungler. This should make contesting the Dragon that much harder for SK. I feel like forcing that fight, the idea is good. You get the flash out from Hans. You may have found a pick. Could have been a great opportunity, but playing around the Dragon, I feel like was an easy objective, an easier play to make. With the gold lead that you have, why give G2 that room? It comes back to that conversation about SK. Can they close out that game? These type of mistakes, a team like G2 is going to very quickly punish you. And we talked about how Caps is going to be delayed. He's now getting much closer. In fact, I think he has enough gold to go back to base and secure that death cap.
I mean, power farming on the side lane, right? Azir not the strongest side laner, but certainly can outclass Hwei in terms of mobility, opportunities for attack.
I mean, yeah, he feels very safe. Like, you look at the Hwei right now, very afraid to cross that line. Of course, he knows that his team is, his jungler specifically on the bot side of the map, but Azir cares a little bit less about that just because the added mobility that you have and the disengage tools. Caps are choosing not to base just yet, staying on the map a little bit longer.
G2 continuing to use the Varus just to instantly delete these waves. That said, Hansama doesn't have enough information to confidently walk in and hit that last creep. Will be forced to use another piercing arrow. And SK, despite all the vision they set up on type side, you know, just that single misstep in the mid lane, or a single good Poppy ultimate rather from Mikyx, really stymies that play, gives the Drake over to G2, slows down SK, and this is a position that so many teams have been in domestically against G2. You gotta lead. You're 4K up, you're 3K up, you're 2K up. Good job, but where is it going to take you? But Isma wants him to take it all the way to the base. Hansama now needs to back away, but immediately he's going to see the cleanse. Piercing arrow coming through. It's not going to do a whole hell of a lot of damage. Again, we're seeing the hostile takeover come out. Going to clip Hansama. He's going to auto-attack the minions. Meanwhile, triple knockup coming in from Yike. Unstoppable now. Broken Blade in the midst of the fight. Miky's got a good angle to keep this one going. Isma slowly getting cut down. Irrelevant finally here. Rahel just doesn't do any damage. Broken Blade more than happy to try and finish the kill. There, gets one. Looking to make it two. Broken Blade again. Yesterday on the Camille. Today on the K'Sante. Taking over.
Broken Blade with a massive play in mid as G2 get initiated on, but turn the fight in their favor. Caps trades 1-for-1 against Nisqy. That man is dead and he still hasn't bought a death cap. And he's solo killing a 3-item Nisqy. Now the Baron is up for the taking. And a single misplay from SK may have been enough for G2 to turn this game around.
Isma's got no smite. G2 might not have perfect information on it, so they're going to back off.
They won't take the risk. They're going to play it safe. I mean, still a huge win for G2. What was a 4K deficit is now just 700. There's the death cap completed. Also, the blighted jewel picked up for Caps. In a side lane, he only is going to continue to get stronger. And Broken Blade on K'Sante. The initiation comes onto Hansama. They see him isolated once again, 3v3. They think they can take this, but look at the minimap. Broken Blade already making his way over. Mikyx with great target focus, keeping Rahel out of the fight and basically isolating Isma. Then, when Broken Blade arrives, it's a 4 versus 3. There's nowhere really for Irrelevant to get involved. I think, did he use his... I missed whether he TP'd towards that top ward, which means that it was a 4v3 for so long, and then Broken Blade just tears them apart on the back line, almost converts it into another kill. Great play from him. And G2 feeling a lot more confident now. The game is largely reset. That Hwei is still scary, but I think Broken Blade is scarier.
Well, the problem now is Irrelevant, flashless, Isma, flashless, Nisqy, flashless, Luon, flashless, Rahel, flashless. The next fight is not in the favor of SK, and their gold lead is all but non-existent now. It's 4K just moments ago, but G2 have converted so beautifully, and now it's
the gold
really
lead's
hard
gonna
to play.
disappear. Broken Blade's gonna get a solo tower.
That's the last of it. Mikyx now pulling the trigger on the fight. Isma trying to back away. Mikhail's not going to be too effective against the knockup. Mikyx, again, just trying to front line alongside Yike here. They don't want to overcommit. Happy to just try and poke away. Nisqy stepping up.
Melting.
They're getting lower and lower. Caps shredding through it. That's the power of the Azir. So
Irrelevant,
good at
no
taking
TP.
the objective. Good poke here. Irrelevant trying to run in. Nice knockback. Pullback is good, though, from Rahel to keep them in the fight. Baron already down, but SK want to keep this fight going. Flash in from Mikyx, though. The follow up there. Yike going to find the knockup. Irrelevant off to the side, starting to stack the rage, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Broken Blade finally going to drop down. Yike getting picked off, but Irrelevant is here. Shut down. Double kill for the Gnar on the chase, but doesn't have the flash. That should just be it. 2 Baron buffs left standing for G2.
Irrelevant finally arrives, and SK get a 5v5 fight, which they absolutely dominate. 3 members of G2 die. They lose so many Baron buffs too, along with a mid tower secured for SK. They've been struggling to find these big fights. Ever since that 3rd Dragon, where they kind of blundered in terms of their setup, they've been trying to force these picks. They've been getting caught off on a side lane. And G2 have been using that to regain control over the game, but now they finally get a good fight and they showcase what they can do. The Poppy ult only connects onto Luon. He then gets brought back. The front line of Isma is tanking up a lot of damage, along with the Hwei doing a lot of work, but now the fight from G2 kind of becomes split. They dive in onto the back line. The Poppy immediately falls. Caps and Hans can't really get involved. And I think that G2, they've got to recognize that with their comp, they have a lot of poke at their disposal. Their all-in, I would argue, is not as strong as like the Onyx, Kalista, when the Gnar is there as well.
And again, it's a lot about setup, right? You have 2 compositions who have a lot of tools to kick things off, but if you're going to have your K'Sante run through multiple, Hwei QEs, the fight's just going to be so much harder. And in that position, SK were just favored. Now they're going to move on to Soul Point again. Mountain Soul would be big, especially against Hansama, who really just wants to poke. That additional shield, that additional tankiness is going to make his job so much harder.
Well, G2 have given up the Dragon in exchange for control over the top wave. Azir is just melting these towers. He'll get another one. They've opened up the inhibitor.
Ruka, Irrelevant slowly stacking rage. Again, flashless, but that's the W down. Clean onto Mikyx. Mikyx now in trouble where they just give him up. Mikyx down. Yike pulled back. Good handshake. The tower there to make sure they can retreat. And already Broken Blade finding another pressure point, knowing the fight isn't really what they're after. Instead, the objectives.
It's so annoying. SK keep getting kills, but the objectives are going the way of G2. You can see that the fighting and the team fight prowess of SK is definitely there, but they just can't quite get it. That's 3 towers now gone in favor of G2. The Baron buff is going to wear off. It's not going to be the Baron power play that they would have liked. But in exchange for a dragon and a kill, G2's pretty happy with that.
Certainly are. And again, remember, we're at negative 1.1, 1.2k out in the back of that fight following the Baron in terms of the power play. Now we're at plus 700.
I mean, look at the mid itemization too, right? Earlier, it was a Nash's Tooth and 2 large rods versus this itemization from Nisqy.
No.
Nisqy's itemization hasn't changed, but Caps is now caught up.
I mean, he was almost 3k ahead before, right?
Yeah.
So Caps has made 2k more than Nisqy.
And there's the large rod advantage, which is pretty much the difference between them, right? But Caps has been able to close this gap effectively. And again, we talked about it. He's crafty. To leave him on a side lane. He's a crafty
goat.
whale. Isma now the flash.
Moving up. Manages to get the spell shield off upon Tom. A very tanky, good knockback to slow the fight down.
Committed from Isma. For what?
He's so keen to start the fight, and I can understand why. It's a frustrating game against G2, but really needs that to find the key targets.
I'm going to need a coach cam. I'm going to need to see Swift's reaction. Nice
Fear. Molten Fisher. Oh, big damage on Mikyx.
Yeah, really big. So Nisqy showing that he's definitely not weak by any means.
I think one of the struggles, obviously, barrier is just so strong right now. That's why Hansama and Rahel are both picking it up. But now Mikyx, a support who would really like to be tanky, has to build Mikhails, which means he's really very one-tappable.
Can we talk about the fact that Mikyx has 4 kills? When did he get those?
Well, you have to understand that we can talk about Caps versus Nisqy or Irrelevant versus Broken Blade, but the real battle
is in the
supports.
Yeah.
Yes, Mikyx
They're
versus
tied
Luan.
4 kills. Mikyx has died a number of times, but Luan 4, 1, and 9 against G2.
I'll say the handshakes compared to the Ash arrows yesterday, handshakes look
Just
good.
saying, in our league, Korean Renatas?
Very scary.
Yeah.
As a quick passport check. Ah, I see. Nope, no Renata for you, sir. Banning that one.
Not in this game. So far, a great performance from Luan. But it's SK that found themselves on the back foot. You look at the map state, it's G2 that have control over the jungle. It is SK that is being suffocated in terms of resources. Caps.
Nisqy, flash back. Caps now going to be in trouble. TP burn. What are G2 going to be able to grab in the meantime? Caps just dies.
He's just dead.
They get the flash, but absolutely not worthwhile.
Well, they get the TP out from Irrelevant as well, and it was the earlier Baron play. I thought that they maybe could get an inhibitor, but they aren't able to convert it. And the good news for G2 is there's no objective really for SK to get off the back of that, but losing the TP could be massive because now G2 can just repeat the play they did earlier around Baron, which is you have Broken Blade push bot, you have Irrelevant match, and the second that he appears, TP to Baron, and then you force the numbers advantage, right?
Definitely could. Of course, with 30 seconds still left on the death timer, though, SK are likely to get first setup on the objective. They may have been overconfident, though. The TP now coming in behind them. Isma here, 4v3. TP now being matched. Broken Blade in the midst of the entire team, but he's only hit Isma thus far. Isma now knocked back. Nisqy immediately going to go for the follow-up here. Broken Blade getting shredded. Lower and lower, trying to back away from Hansama. Good follow-up damage coming in from Nisqy. Spell shield still standing for Han, so he's feeling pretty safe, but SK pushing G2 back.
TP initiation. That TP play that we were talking about earlier, now gone for Broken Blade, as he tried to force a fight in mid lane. SK weathered the pressure though, and now they're the ones moving into the jungle. We talked about how it felt like that the map state was in favor of G2, but SK are fighting their way back. It's them now trying to drop what vision they can.
They have to get aggressive here because Cap still has his TP.
They're going to be the ones to force the Baron.
Relevant clearing out what he can. There's so many good flank
it's
boards
a dark
for G2.
pit. Now it's not. Information gain for
They need
G2.
to burn this down quickly. They can't afford to be indecisive.
SK can just turn on this.
Walking back to Caps. Caps just trying to root him up, just trying to flawlessly layer the CC so it can't even an ulti off, but Caps goes golden, buys a brief moment. Mikyx gonna go for the knockback into the wall, but Caps is already down. G2 on the chase. Irrelevant not gonna be able to knock anybody back. Unstoppable is Broken Blade, but that's a severing bolt. Isma here to follow up, and G2 starting to get run down. Stun onto Broken Blade. Nothing left for him. The fear quaking in his boots as SK can just set their sights on the Baron.
A fantastic sequence of events from SK. The initiation from G2 onto the mid lane is used by SK to gain control over the topside jungle and set themselves up for the Baron. Now they still want to contest the Dragon as well. This would be Soul for them. They know they still have numbers advantage. That's still 20 seconds on Caps, who doesn't have TP.
Mikyx spotted. Movement speed steroid, is it enough? Fear coming in, and now Irrelevant can chase. Nowhere for Mikyx to go. That's going to be the Soul for SK. Yike already backing away, and right like that, SK are back in control of this game.
It was a shaky mid-game, but they've been able to punish the aggression from G2 well. The Caps TP into, or the Caps play on bot, cascaded into a sequence of events with which SK played fantastically. 19 kills to 9. They've accrued back their 3k gold lead, and now they have themselves a Baron and a Soul.
And you take a look back at the damage Delta champions this game. The poke from Hansama has been there. But the same is true for Hwei, and Irrelevant as well. Yes, a lot of that is going to be from farming damage off the K'Sante, but in these fights, Gnar has been really tough for G2 to deal with.
I mean, Caps' presence definitely has not been felt in the same way that we're used to. Of course, I am willing to give G2 some benefit of the doubt, just because we know how exhausting this year has been for them. But SK, nothing but praise for them. Their early game has been good. Their mid game was definitely shaky. We saw them force a few fights that they didn't need to force. But aside from that, they've been able to bounce back very well.
And they held it together well enough to punish when Caps overstepped on the bottom side of the map. And again, when he overstepped, TPing in. And those are the angles that you need to find if you want to take games off G2.
I mean, it's just, for a regular season, it's just a big win, right?
Yeah.
Single round robin, big win, especially when you're fighting for spots in playoffs. And
Caps locked up again. Immediate follow. Spiraling Despair. Caps very likely to go down. Nisqy now retreating. Isma just will not die. He is so damn tanky with Caps out of the equation too. They just don't have the damage to do anything to the Sejuani.
Look at mid lane, Irrelevant pushing in with a nice wave.
SK so close to the finish. Nisqy backing off, doesn't want to overstep. The one off to the side. Isma here too. Irrelevant Mega. Broken Blade locked up. Wallop is there. Slow, steady siege. One inhibitor down. SK, what else do you want? What else are you here for?
It's the battle of poke between Hans and Nisqy right now. Nisqy's a little bit low on mana. He's going to be forced to base. As the TP available, won't be interrupted. Nice for him.
TP back to mid. Full group. Do they just want to try and end it here? Not playing off 2 lanes anymore. Just full 5 stack. Waiting for the top lane wave to come in. Relevant off to the side. Threatening. Yike can go for the flash knockup. But the follow-up might not be there. Broken Blade losing so much health before the fight even starts. Isma immediately going to follow up. Spiraling Despair forcing everyone else back. Now it's on Mikyx to try and disengage, but Isma's not afraid. Is going to step up. Poppy getting cut down. Now there's nothing left to stop the dashes coming through. Flash forward from Lou on the handshake won't connect. Nice sidestep coming in from Caps. Rahel continuing to leap around, continuing to back away. They've got the super minion in mid. This might just be the end for SK. Coming clutch in summer, the new players, the entire team coming together, but G2, can they hold the line? Unstoppable now, the clean pullback coming in. Luan taken out. SK can't get over eager here, but Nisqy doing so much work, doing so much damage. Yike almost taken out. Severing Bolt, not enough. The healing coming through clutch as he burrows up, gets back to the base. Hansama and Caps holding the line. Broken Blade there to body block, but 4 members still up on the side of SK, but I don't think they can close it here.
I think they're going to try, though. They haven't given up just yet. No, they have. Okay, SK will not overstay their welcome, but G2's going to force it.
SK has to be perfect here. They can't afford to give anything up. Isma stepping off to the side. Rahel might be the one who's going to be in trouble. Knocked back to the wall with the fear on Broken Blade is clutch. Nisqy there to save his AD carry. Broken Blade is overstayed. Yike going for the 2-man flash. And now Caps wants to step in. Irrelevant getting taken out. Nobody's touching on Sama. He's doing so much work, G2. You can't do this to them. It was so close, but G2, again, they find a fight. They find an angle to claw their way back into this one. Caps chasing down Isma. The rest of the team chasing Irrelevant. G2, what else can you get?
Isma just needs to survive. If he can clear out the wave, that would be even better. I guess they have super minions, so not too stressed about that. Scourge, just take a couple jungle camps on your way out. Oh my goodness, a TP flank from G2, the knock-up from Yike, and the follow-up from Caps. Backs against the wall, G2 stand strong, and they make a fight happen. The chance for SK are coming through. The crowd wants to see them make the upset happen. The knock-up from Yike was fantastic. The follow-up from Caps as well. SK can only retreat. The good news for them is in the current map state, G2 can only really wave clear. I don't think they can really convert it into much because there's no objective to play for. So SK keeping things interesting as G2 find a miracle fight.
And Nisqy's gone for full offensive itemization. Obviously always wants to be at arm's length. If G2 can find another fight where they pick him off at the start, that's so much of the sustains damage on their side just gone. It really is Nisqy doing a lot of the heavy lifting in these team fights, and Rahel's, solid, don't get me wrong, but it's still, a Kalista on 4 items. Needs a lot of spears before it's gonna hit quite as hard as the Hwei. And SK, access to the objective first. 45 seconds till Baron. So minute 15 till Elder.
SK can just kind of leave top wave as is because it will slowly push thanks to the super minions. Their main objective is to control mid and deny these super minions from being cleared out by G2. Bot wave, again, you look at Caps, he's being annoying. Irrelevant's going to answer that. He has the TP available, but this is what G2 do in these situations. They try to create multiple points of pressure. Look at the Rek'Sai, trying to go and catch the top wave to thin out these waves as much as they can. It just buys space for G2 so that there's a way for them to at least contest these neutrals. With the Baron spawning in about 12 seconds, SK want to try and force this.
Just going to proactively TP from Nisqy. Obviously, as you mentioned before, the wave pushed in, doesn't need to worry about that one.
And they're going to force it.
A ward above them that G2 could flank on. Scryer, going to spot them out.
Oh, they're melting this. Rahel with the on-hit.
So much work on the objective.
TP
from behind. SK need to slow it down. What is their call? Are they fighting or are they taking the objective? They can't afford to get it too low. Mikyx now going to look for the knockback, taking the jungler out of the equation. Caps can now step up.
To the Baron.
SK, they're off the Baron. G2 get it for free. SK now immediately need to find the fight. Going for the pushback, but Nisqy manages to make it work. Spying is sparing so many. The Hwei damage is disgusting. And Irrelevant's trying to chase down Hansama, but Mikyx is dead. Hansama is still standing. SK determined to end this one. The minions breaking the base. Mikyx, Hans, Broken Blade still alive. Broken Blade will fall, and SK will look to end it here.
A massive team fight from SK. They don't care about the Baron because they've won the fight. That's an open Nexus, and SK will make the upset happen.
Isma walking in, knowing the Varus can do nothing. Rahel does not have to be too scared. Mikyx gonna give his life to hold on for a brief moment. One inhibitor respawns, but it is not enough. SK taking their sweet time, a win well earned, a back and forth game. SK finding a win over G2 Esports.
A crazy back and forth. A bit of a slump in the mid game from SK, but they stand proud. They out teamfight G2, and they showcase that the changes are paying off. A huge win to start off the split for SK.
I mean, Luana.
How did they get so good? How do players from the LCK get so good at Renata? LCK CL, it doesn't matter. And of course, for SK as a whole, Nisqy, beautiful game, excellent team fights.
That's got to feel good. The crowd at their back as well. A typically G2 dominated audience, getting that support. You can vote for your key player of the game at LEC, Onyx, Isma, Nisqy, Luan.
And Swiffer.
And Swiffer.
A sigh of relief, not in the vote, yeah. But he wins my vote. Finally, the team, he saw the 4K lead disappear. He saw the 4K lead come back. He saw the 4K lead disappear one more time. But then he saw the Nexus fall and knew that everything was going to be all right. For G2, obviously, bit of a rough game. Early game a bit messy. They brought it back in the mid.
I think it's very common for teams coming back from international events to be a little bit sloppy. I still have high expectations for G2, but that shouldn't take away from the fact that SK, I think, did play very well today. A couple things for them still to work on, but a roster that you need to keep your eyes on. An exciting team to watch, and again, an exciting bot lane. They continue to impress.
Very impressed.
Find ways to have impact.
And a reminder that the C in the Euphoria tier list stands for clearly going to beat G2 in week 1. If you didn't know that, you didn't watch the episode, so just keep that in mind before you flame.
I mean, it wouldn't be G2 if they had a perfect split. You know what I mean?
But this from SK, is it SK year-round? Is it not SK winter anymore?
I want to see them continue this form, right? Because we've seen SK have highs before, they have good weeks. Like, they can start this week 2-1, 3-0, but it doesn't matter if they then can't keep that pace up throughout the rest of the season. So, cautious optimism for SK, because they're showing some promising stuff, that is for sure. Excited to see where they can go. But it looks like we've got a very special interview on our hands.
Laura's standing by with Swiffer and the Marriott Bonvoy check-in.
Thank you so much, guys. And Swiffer, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
How much were you sweating during this one? Because I was asking my production, I want to have Swiffer reactions. I want to have the call back to the horrendous memories you had in spring. And they told me, I'm sorry, guys, I quote, he's pretty boring today, so I'm taking you as stressed.
Yeah, so apparently I only have negative reactions. And after last split, it's... After watching a few times us throw a few games, I know not to prematurely celebrate. So, yeah, just save all the happiness for the end.
Superstitious much, or?
I think it's my every time I say like, okay, we're in a really good position, like we just need to do this. My co-coach just says, we haven't won the game yet, shut up, shut up. So yeah, I just took a page out of his book and just shut up, I suppose, yeah.
And it's especially true when you play against G2. You know that the game is not won until the Nexus explodes. So how proud are you guys today and what they did and the fact that they held it together until the end?
Yeah, I mean, G2 are formidable. I think we saw in the mid-game, like we were 4K gold up, but they just were running us around the map. But especially Nisqy kept really cool, calm, collected today, and just everyone kept really cool, actually. And even though we felt like the game was kind of slipping, I think everyone just played phenomenally like at the end. So can't ask for more. Yeah, for now.
For now. It's the second game, but still an important one to take against G2 Esports, especially given the fact that you guys made roster changes moving ahead in summer. Not an easy decision to make, I believe. Tell me about the decision-making behind this, but also including these two Korean players in the bot lane.
Yeah, so I guess the decision behind well, we've never swapped anyone actually over the last like three years or so since I've been at SK. The reason that we did it was we felt like it was really difficult to make progress as a team. And it's not like solely the bot lane's fault or anything like that. It was just a clash that just wasn't resolving despite everyone's attempts. And so with that in mind, we just figured, well, if we're going to make a shot at Worlds, we have to do something. And we made the decision to go with Rahel and Luon.
And I do think it makes sense. You want to start fresh, you want to start on solid bases, but also new bases when most of the teams had month and month behind them of playing together. So what is your goal for this SK lineup? How should they look like? How do you want them to play together?
Right now, we're just figuring out a few communication kinks, as I'm sure you can imagine. So I think that that's just the progress that we're working on. We're just trying to make the game as simple as possible. And then as the English improves and the communication improves, we're hoping that like we can try and get a little bit more complex gameplay happening. But until then, just simple game plans. And just playing for each other.
Are you happy with the progress that you guys are making right now? It's only 2 official games, but I'm guessing there's more happening backstage.
Yeah, I am happy with the progress that everyone's making, absolutely.
All right, we're going to have Isma in PGL in just a few seconds. What did you think of your jungler's performance, but more overall progression from his rookie start in the LEC to where he's at today?
Yeah, I thought he was phenomenal today. A few shaky moments. Really doesn't like Poppy, I guess. But aside from that, like controlled the early game. Comms were what he needed. And he brought the game back when he felt like it was slipping. So good on him.
Do you feel like his communication is improving and that he's actually being clutch in these key moments?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Isma's always performed better in competitive than he has in scrims.
All right.
And I think he knows that. I think he just has a really clear idea of what he wants to do on stage, and he doesn't overcomplicate it. And it's to his credit. Let's
see what he has to say about this. Swiffer, thank you so much again for the interview. Congrats on taking down G2 Esports. And Sjokz, over to you in PGL with Isma, and maybe he has something to say about this screen performance. Let's see.